What happens when a strategic bomber has a one-night stand with a patrol boat? We get weird stuff like the VVA-14. What's up, nerd? I'm the author of the science fiction book series, The Descendant Saga. My name is Chase Randolph. Check out the links down in the video description to my book's website or Discord community server. We're building a nerd community together. Or subscribe to this YouTube channel for more nerd content and publishing updates on my books. Today, I'm going to tell you how to nerd harder and drop some knowledge about these weird Soviet planes because, boy, were they good at cooking up strangeness. The VVA-14 hardly looks like an airplane, and that's because it's only sort of a plane. It's what's called a wing-in-ground effect aircraft, designed to fly at a high speed at a low altitude, about 10 to 20 feet above ground, where the cushion of air underneath the aircraft actually helps it generate extra lift. So large, heavy things, unlike the small, starving communists trying to build them, could fly with small wings, therefore reducing drag and increasing efficiency. Part of the problem with the design philosophy is that the ground doesn't stay flat. It has things like hills and ditches and trees and mountains. So these wing-in-ground effect aircraft vehicle things are largely relegated to operating over the ocean's surface, where, in calmish seas, the waves are small enough it can fly over them without hopefully crashing into them at hundreds of miles an hour. I bet the view from the cockpit was intense, as you zipped along just above the waves from the boat that thought it was a plane at 400-something miles an hour. Let's talk about the plane, though, not the narrow niche the Soviets thought they needed to fill since they couldn't fill their bellies. The VVA-14 first flew in September 1972, using civilian registration and non-military paint schemes in order to try and help preserve secrecy. I guess because the idea was so bad they wanted to hide the fact they actually built the thing. It was intended to be an anti-submarine patrol bomber thing, much like the British Short Sunderland from 35 years prior, just faster and uglier and more Soviet. The pontoons under the wings were upgraded in 1974 with inflatable pontoons to help her sea-going capability for amphibious trials in June of 1975. And then even later, the inflatable ones were replaced with more conventional solid pontoons. The designer, an Austro-Hungarian mad lad named Bartini, died in 1974, and the project kinda fizzled out. In total, there were 107 test flights for a total of 103 flight hours. Eventually, the only surviving test bed was sent to the Soviet Air Force Museum in 1987, but it was damaged in shipping and never repaired, so it just sits there without wings. Sad, looking more like a mutated boat than an airplane. Still, it was a wild idea, and I'm glad someone tried building the thing. There are other wing-and-ground effect vehicles that have been built, mostly Soviet, and they do work. It's a viable idea. The niche is just too narrow for it to be worth the effort. Even the communists thought their labor was better spent somewhere else. Tell me down in the comments below, do you think we would have been able to make something viable out of this with more testing if Bartini hadn't died? Could we have perfected this boat plane thing and opened up a whole new avenue for humans to kill each other? Anyway, nerd harder, my friends.